As you enter the pedestrian mall in Salem, Massachusetts, you are greeted by a very unique water fountain, which stands appropriately on the very spot of the first town watering pump. The fountain consists of a spring-like basin, lined with local river pebbles and bordered by slightly raised steps. 3 monolithic slabs have been positioned in an H formation, allowing a waterfall to tumble down the center. 2 of the concrete panels contain rectangular bronze plaques. The smaller of the 2 explains how the idea for the fountain was inspired by the short story A Rill from the Town Pump, written by Salem native Nathaniel Hawthorne. In the story, the town pump is a narrator and explains, from its own unique point of view, the history of the spring, as well as describing the various locals who come for water. The plaque on the front illustrates these descriptions. The pump tells of Indian sagamores who drank from the original spring under a darksome shadow of venerable boughs. Endicott and his followers came next, and often knelt down to drink, dipping their long beards in the spring. The pump's water was for both rich and poor. Can you spot the man in the stockades? Whenever a baby was baptized, the sexton filled his basin here and placed it on the table of the meeting house. The water replenished thirsty men returning home from the taverns, young couples in love, thirsty dogs, children let loose for the summer, and even cattle. Salem's entire history gushes forth from this one illustration, and what makes it even more delightful is the fact that it still provides Salemites with a source of drinking water. Here we are, symbolically drinking from the same spring as Endicott and Winthrop. At night, the fountain is really something to see. It takes on a whole new feeling, and that subtle lighting produces such a wonderful shade of green. Basically, the fountain is awesome. It's expressive, unconventional, clever, poetic, site-specific, educational. I mean, the list goes on and on. So when I learned that the city of Salem was planning to tear down this fountain, I was a little upset. I wanted to know more about who designed it, and after a bit of searching, I came across the creator. It turns out he's kind of a big deal. His name was John Francis Collins, and he was a pioneer of landscape architecture. He is known for his site-sensitive approach. All of his designs seem to fit in so well with the cultural and natural history of a particular place. In reaction to the urban renewal of the 60s and 70s, Collins revitalized neighborhoods with green spaces that were intimately scaled to the people they served. He strongly believed that high-quality, green urban places, parks, and civic spaces were essential components to a healthy and vital city. His style can be felt all over Salem, from the richly patterned brick sidewalks, tree-lined streets, site-specific lights, backless benches, small courtyards, and pocket parks. His work can still be read. It matured gracefully. One of his designs, I feel, is important to note. It is Chestnut Park, a small urban oasis in the Center District of Philadelphia. In 2012, the city formally renamed it John F. Collins Park. Notice the similarities of the 2 fountains. There's something about those materials and shapes that fascinated him. But while Philadelphia celebrates his legacy and restores their fountains, the city of Salem is doing the exact opposite. We are trying to erase him from our history. Under Mayor Kim Driscoll, the fountain will be removed permanently. It is being demolished to make way for a road that will, they say, only operate in the winter. They intend to pave over the bricks to allow cars and parking. All those dangerous cobblestones are going to be pulled up. Both of the town kiosks will be removed, as well as some very unique planters. In the last few days, the city has been ripping up the downtown to, quote, improve sightlines. What was once cozy clusters of perfectly scaled trees is now just flat bricks, replaced with nothing but a few cold metal chairs. Don't let this be the fate of the fountain. It is too special for that, even if the mayor doesn't recognize it. In a recent article, Mayor Driscoll discussed the fountain, pointing out that perhaps the Native American plaque could be saved and used in a more interesting and attractive fountain that celebrates the city's history. She then references a classical fountain outside the library, saying, quote, "I see that and I think now that's the pedestrian mall." This is a dangerous attitude to have. When urban renewal was taking place in the 60s and 70s, Salem made a conscious choice not to be another colonial Williamsburg, to instead add a modern flavor to the past. Now, after 36 years, the fountain is in a dangerous state. It is beginning to look dated. And this isn't a bad thing. This is what happens to all design. Federal architecture, for instance, was once a modern style, but today it feels like it was designed in the early 1800s, just as this fountain feels like it was designed in the mid-1970s. A city is only historic if it embraces the time periods of its past. So it is very important for Salem to preserve and celebrate this period of our history too. John F. Collins worked primarily in Philadelphia, so Salem is very lucky to have not just one, but two of his unique fountains. Unfortunately, the water has been turned off for over 2 years, and it's sad to see them in such a state. I can remember when the waterfall flowed from the top, children played in the basin, tourists sat on the steps, and everyone drank from its bubblers. If you believe that the town pump should be saved, please email your mayor and city councilors. If you're from out of town, please email our mayor and city councilors. And if you could donate $1 to fix up the fountains, the citizens of Salem will be in your debt. With your help, the waters can flow again.